Hello, good afternoon everybody. Narinig po ba ako?
Yes po.
Yes, sir.
Any malakas?
Yes, sir.
Clear na.
Clear naman, hindi na puputol?
Yes po.
Okay, so good afternoon everybody, and once again welcome to this is our third day, right? Third day of our seminar, and we are now on the second part of the chapter 1. Okay, so for just a recap, so based on what we have learned previously from the topic that we have discussed from section 1, 2, 3, we can understand that we are the children of God because we inherit the same characteristics. Right? Kasi kung titignan natin, kung sa tao pa, yung DNA ni God, yun din yung DNA na meron tayo. Tama ba? Aju? And then aside from the presence of the conscience na doon nag-exist si God sa buhay natin, we can understand from the second section that hindi tayo mabubuhay kung wala si God, because the energy present in us, it is coming from the universal energy that comes from God. Aju? Kaya we cannot separate ourselves from God. That's why it is really very important for us to fulfill our purpose. Kaya nga sabi ni Jesus Christ 2,000 years ago, hindi niya sinabi na you can be perfect, pero ang sinabi niya, you must be perfect. It's a mandatory command that we have to perfect ourselves in line with the perfect characteristics of the perfect harmonious relationship of the dual characteristics of our origin or si God. And that can be done through fulfilling our responsibility, that making ourselves really become the substantial image of God in masculine position, and in feminine position, and to really show that we have really made ourselves become perfect incarnation of God in masculine or feminine. Men and women must unite together, centering on God's blessing, centering on God's permission, not centering on Satan's permission. And ultimately, once we value each other, that's the time that we can value the rest of creation. And we can govern both the physical world and the spiritual world. Aju? Kaya kung titignan natin, once we can fulfill the three great blessings, dun tayo magkakaroon ng clear identity and clear value. That's why in this section, we will be studying about the original value of human being. Original value of a person who have completed the purpose of creation. And in here, we'll be studying and looking at the process in standard for the determination of original value. So sabi niya dito, original value of entity is determined when it participates as an object partner in a God-centered four-position foundation by relating with a person as its subject partner. Okay? Kaya nga, ang unang sinabi sa atin ni Jesus Christ before, when we start our prayer, is to make ourselves become an object partner of God. Kasi kung titignan natin, yung pagsabi niya na our Father, meaning we are putting our position in a position of an object partner towards our eternal parent na si God. And that is the way in order for us to determine our original value. That is the determination of our original value. So since the center of the four-position foundation is God, it is God who sets the standard for its value. Since God's absolute, the original value of an object partner determined in relation to the standard of a standard must also be absolute. Kaya nga kung titignan natin, ang absolute direction ng human being is for us to really fulfill our portion of responsibility. Okay? Kaya nga even si Father, anong sinasabi niya? We have to constantly practice a lifestyle of living for the sake of others. And it is not just a simple living for the sake of others, but we have to put our utmost sincerity into it. Aju? Because from that, we can understand the value of a standard relation. Okay? Standard connection. Because our first and foremost value is to become the absolute children of God. Does it make sense, brothers and sisters? Adyo? Yan. So, ibig sabihin, kung wala si God sa atin, nawawalan tayo ng value. Pero pag babalik tayo kay God as an object partner, that's the time that nare-recover natin yung value natin. Kaya sinabi natin, with God, we can be everything. But without God, we are nothing. Adyo? Yan. So that is very important that we have to understand that the origin and source of our lives is coming from God. Hindi lang siya concept, but even in reality. Yan. Kaya nga, kung titignan din natin, okay? Kung titignan natin, along the way of our development, God always involved Himself. Adyo? Yan. Kaya kung pag-aralan natin yung process of the creation of the universe and its growing period, it is actively involved si God. Kaya kung titignan natin bit by bit, sabi niya, the universe did not suddenly spring forth complete. In fact, its origin and development took an enormous length of time. Kaya nga, there is a speech of father na sinabi niya na the greatest scientist is not those people whom we have recognized who gave us a theory that is giving us a breakthrough of our life. Pero sino ang greatest scientist? It's no other than God. Kasi lahat ng experimentation, siya yung gumawa in order for the existence of the whole universe. Kaya kung titignan natin, part of our development or part of our creation process is to understand how God manifests His, how God practice His scientific power through the six-ordered period or six-ordered process of creation. And that is being written the 6 days in the book of Genesis. Adyo? Kaya nga kung titignan natin yung Genesis, pwede natin makita yon as a simple process of creation. Pero kung titignan natin in deeper understanding or deeper essence of it, doon talaga nagpakita ng experimentation si God. Okay? Na siya yung unang nagpakita ng experimentation na sinusunod na lang ng mga scientists natin sa panahon ngayon. Okay? Kaya kung titignan natin in the Bible, we can read that the biblical period of 6 days for the completion of the universe is not to be reckoned by the number of literal sunrise and sunset. It symbolized 6-ordered period. And itong 6-ordered period na to, it is the process of creation. And hindi nagawa ang mga bagay in just a click of a finger. Meron siyang time period na sinusunod. Tama ba? Adyo?
Adyo.
Yan. Kaya kung titignan din natin, even our development, okay, hindi tayo bigla na lang nag-grow in a click of a finger. But it goes through a process. Paano yun? So kung titignan natin dito, sabi niya doon, when the first day of creation is completed, the Bible states there was evening and there was morning one day. Okay? Hindi yung 12 hours na one day, but it is at 24 hours. It started from the evening, that's the resting period. Okay? That is the period of active development of physical body. And in the morning, that is the, ano yun? It is the consumption of energy stored into our body. Okay? And kung titignan natin, meron siyang three processes. Hindi lang yung gabi tapos umaga, just isang ano lang yon. Meron siyang tinatawag na transition period. Transition of the night and then going to morning. And then transition of morning going into evening. Tama ba? Adyo?
Adyo po.
Pero commonly, how do we think about it is ganito. One would think that the arrival of the morning after the passage of an evening and a night would be reckoned as the second day. Yet it is referred to as the first day. So the Bible states one day to show that a created being passed through a growing period, symbolized by the night before it reaches perfection in the morning. Then as it greets this new morning, it can step forward and realize its ideal of creation. Aju? Kaya nga, dalawa yung mid natin eh. Midnight saka yung noon. And these are the two transition of the 24 hours cycle. Tama ba? Aju, brothers and sisters?
Aju
Yan.
po.
Kaya kung titingnan natin, tayo rin, there are three processes na pagdadaanan natin in order for us to completely inheriting the characteristics of God, or yung sinasabi natin na we can completely perfect our characteristics. Okay? Yan. Kaya lahat ng bagay din dito sa mundo, it goes through a three-ordered stages or three-ordered processes. Okay? Ano yung three-ordered stages na yon in terms of our growing period? Okay? All creation reached perfection by passing through three-ordered stages of growth, the formation stage, growth stage, and the completion stage. And even in our development, hindi biglaan na lang na ma-acquire natin yung mga bagay. Meron muna yung magpo-form muna. Okay? Pag na-form na sa atin, that's the time na i-develop natin within ourselves, and we can go towards further development through perfection or completion of it. Aju? Yan. Kaya nga, hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na lahat is in a magical way. No. It goes through a three-ordered stages. It always follows formation stage, growth stage, and completion stage. Katulad din yan pagka mag-compose ka ng isang tula. Automatic ba na masulat mo kagad yung tula mo? Ma-compose mo kagad yung tula? No, dadaan ka muna into formation stage. Tapos ano yung next? Formation stage, i-formulate mo muna sa mind mo ano ba yung theme na gagawin ko. And then after that, isulat mo na siya, right? Tama ba? Pag sinulat mo na, nandoon na, enough na ba 'yon? Complete na ba 'yon? No, you have to review it again kung naayon dun sa original na plano mo. Para sa ganun magkaroon ng complete development. And then after that, it can reach towards perfection of it. Aju? Yan. So lahat ng ginagawa natin, it follows what we call the growing period, and it follows the three-ordered stage of formation, growth, and completion. Kahit ano pang bagay ang gagawin natin, it always follow this format. Okay? Kaya nga, kung titignan natin, observe natin ang environment natin. Ang environment natin, they are obedient to this three-ordered stage. It's an automatic process sa kanila. Okay? Pero ang tao, okay, hindi ganun kadali sa atin. Why? Human being could not fulfill the purpose of creation because they fell without completing the three stages of the growing period. Hence, in the renewed effort to realize their purpose, human being must pass through these three stages. So kung titignan natin, ang tao hindi yung immediately na hindi katulad ng mga halaman na they just respond to the flow of the environment. We have our effort to do because we can respond. Right? Aju? Ma-remember nyo na ang characteristics natin is first and foremost, God had given us the innermost sensibility to respond towards His heart. And that is the uniqueness of human being with the rest of creation. Okay? Although ang mga ibang hayop, meron silang sensitivity to respond, pero hanggang dun lang sa response. Pero tayo, we can still develop it further. Okay? We can raise yung inner sensibility natin towards God's heart. We can develop it further into a closer and deeper relationship. Kaya nga, kung titignan natin, pagdating sa relationship ng tao, okay, we can have a deeper and closer relationship together as a human being. Aju? And we can complete this once we can go through the process of the growing period, or the formation, growth, and completion, or the three ordered stages. But along the way, from our first human ancestor, okay, alam naman natin na nag-fall sina Adam and Eve. And we became at the very, we came to the point of even going to the lowest position with animals and even other creation. Okay? Kaya before we can reach the level of perfection, para nangyari na doble yung responsibility natin. Tama ba? Kasi kung titignan natin, after the fall of Adam and Eve, dapat na diretso na tayo sa perfection stage. Pero ang nangyari, we needed to raise our sensibility towards to respond to God's heart and God's love. And then after that, we can continue our growth through passing through the formation, growth, and completion until we can fulfill the purpose of creation. Aju? So yun yung nangyari sa atin after the fall. Okay, after Adam and Eve fell at the top of the growth stage. So dapat isang three-ordered stage lang yung mangyari. Ngayon nagkaroon tayo ng two folds of three-ordered stages. In order for us to respond to God's heart and God's love, and then after that, in order for us to fulfill the purpose of creation. Aju? Yan. Anyway, magkakaroon tayo ng clearer understanding about this when we will be tackling about the restorational course, the second part of the divine principle. And we all know that while Adam and Eve, before they fell, okay, God cannot directly dominate them. They are in the indirect dominion. Na pag sinabi natin indirect dominion, this is dominion based on the principle accomplishment. So when created beings are in a growing period, God has regard only for the fruits of their growth, which are based on the principle. So how much we respond towards God's calling and perfection of the harmonious relationship of subject and object within us. And that is the principled way of life that we have. So in this way, He governs all things indirectly, and we call this growing period the realm of God indirect dominion, or the realm of dominion based on the accomplishment through the principle. Kasi kung titignan natin, ang principle ng buhay natin is there must be the principle of give and take action. Okay? Our mind and body should live for the sake of each other unconditionally until it will become a complete, yung hindi na nagbabago yung cycle of giving and receiving between the mind and body. Okay? And ultimately, all things reach perfection after passing through the growing period by virtue of the autonomy and governance given by God's principle. Kaya nga kung titignan natin, the basic principle na binigay sa atin ni God is yung harmonious relationship, the principle of harmony through practicing a lifestyle of giving and receiving, or what we call give and take action. So human being, however, pass through the growing period and reach perfection by fulfilling their own portion of responsibility, in addition to the guidance provided by the principle. And what is our responsibility? It is perfecting a lifestyle of living for the sake of others with our utmost sincerity and our determination to make it our life. Na kahit ano mangyari, hindi na tayo magbabago because it is already part of our life. Aju? So that is human responsibility na sinasabi natin. Yung perfection na sinasabi natin, it is not just a simple perfection of our physical self, but it is the perfection of our lifestyle to constantly inherit and practice a lifestyle coming from God that is living for the sake of others. And once we can accomplish that, centering on the principle of dual characteristics or the harmonious relationship of the dual characteristics, that's the time that we can completely one with God. And we will be elevated from indirect dominion to direct dominion. And that is already the level of perfection. Okay? And that's the time that we can completely inherit God's creative nature. So God endowed human being with a portion of responsibility for the following reason. By fulfilling their given portion of responsibility, with which even God does not interfere, human beings are meant to inherit the creative nature of God and participate in God's great work of creation. Okay? Kaya nga kung titingnan natin, we have the authority to develop. We have the authority to enhance. Pero we cannot change what is God's plan towards us. Or even yung structure na create sa atin ni God. Adyo? We can just enhance but we cannot change. Kasi meron nagsasabi na bato-bato sa langit, tamaan magalit. Okay? Meron sinasabi na may LGBT na LGBT or transformation of gender transformation, that is part of ano yan? That is part of enhancement. Yun yung sinasabi nila. Pero kung titignan natin, that is not an enhancement but it is totally transforming the original blueprint of the created being. And that's not part. Kaya nga mangyari, di ba? Pagka magpa-change ka ng sexual organ, what will happen to you? You are little by little killing yourself. Aju? Yan. So that is not part of God's creative nature. Okay? Pero pag sinabi nating enhancement and development, nare-retain yung blueprint ni God, walang napapalitan, pero nag-i-improve yung leveling. Nag-i-improve yung presentation in order to become more pleasant in the eyes of the people and the eyes of God. So that is what we call creative nature. Okay? And also participate in God's creation. Kasi after that, ang next level natin is to multiply God's children. And that is procreation, right? We are the one who will create another image of God. And that can only happen through the relationship of masculine and feminine. Na pag sinabi nating relationship of masculine and feminine, it should be eternal in nature. Aju? So God intended human being to earn ownership and become worthy to rule over the creation as creators in their own right, just as God governed them as their creator. Okay? So once we can really own, we can really love everything based on God's heart and God's emotional impulse when He creates, that's the time that we can also be the whole creation will recognize us as the co-creator of God. Kaya nga sabi ni Father, we can command everything that exists on earth. How can we command? Once we have that kind of inner sensibility towards God's heart, and the whole creation have a sense of nafe-feel nila yung inner sensibility natin towards God's heart and God's plan. Okay? Hindi mo kinakailangan ng extra power to move anything. But what you just needed to do is to practice a constant harmony of your mind and body in response towards God's purpose and God's plan. Aju? Anong halimbawa niyan? Halimbawa yung mga animal. Okay? Di ba, kinakatakutan natin ang ahas kasi sabi natin, nanunuklaw ang ahas. Pero bakit kaya nating hawakan ang ahas? Di ba? They can feel that the love of God through once we will take good care of them. Kaya nga kung titignan mo, sa umpisa siguro magagalit sa'yo, pero pag nakita niya na inaalagaan mo siya, tutuklawin ka pa ba ng ahas? O halimbawa, ibon. Di ba? Once pinakita mo yung concern mo sa kanila, that's the time that they will respond and they will be moved by you. And you can command them. So yun yung connection ng co-creatorship and to become the rightful owner of everything that is being created by God. Once we will also practice a lifestyle of living for the sake of others with the creation. Pero gaya nga ng sinabi ko nung section 2 ba yun? No, section 3. Okay? Na ang magpapatunay that we have a lifestyle of living for the sake of others is what? When we live unconditionally with our eternal partner. And instead of looking at each other as an enemy, it should be an opportunity for us to experience, and have a deeper relation towards God and learn from each other. Okay? So this is the principal difference between human being and the rest of creation, because we have the capacity to take ownership and to have a to have a feeling and can develop the rest of creation. Kaya nga kung napanood niyo yung anong movie yon? Yung Narnia, yung first part ng Narnia. Napanood niyo yun? Yung pagpasok ng magkakapatid. Yeah, sabi niya, are these the children of Adam who will save Narnia? And that is also right, like and what is in the Bible, that is the rest of creation is waiting for human being to take responsibility in order for them to develop and further feel God's presence here on earth. So ultimately, once we can fulfill our portion of responsibility through the process of the three ordered stage, okay, formation, growth, and completion, and at the same time, three great blessings within individual, within a family, and expanding to the whole cosmos, that's the time that we can become a co-creator of God. Ang value natin is likened to the value of God. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, yung realm of indirect dominion, that is the time wherein we have to prove to God that we can be responsible or we are completely one with Him. So human being abide in the realm of direct dominion when as subject partner and object partner, they unite in the love of God and to form a four-position foundation and become one in heart with God. In this realm, they freely and fully share love and beauty according to the will of the subject partner, thus realizing the purpose of goodness. Okay? Kaya nga, nagkakaroon tayo ng substantial na inheritance pagka nagkaroon na ng substantial multiplication of goodness or expansion of goodness from husband and wife and na-multiply sa mga anak. Okay? Pero sad to say, sabi ni Father, the purification of our lineage after the fall is only after 7 generation. Okay? So ano ibig sabihin nun? Ibig sabihin tayo yung mag-lay ng foundation for the perfection of our children. Aju? Yan. So hence the realm of direct dominion is the realm of likened to the realm of perfection. Okay? And that's the time that God can completely stay with human being. After we have completely, all of us are living together in harmony likened to the harmonious relationship of the subject and object within God's personality. Okay? Kasi kung titignan natin, ang subject and object, hindi lang naman sa tao eh. Di ba? Meron ding subject and object sa lower form of creation. Merong subject and object in masculine, merong subject and object in feminine, and then within feminine and masculine, meron ding subject and object. And within the universe, centering on human being and the rest of creation, meron ding subject and object. Aju? And if all of these things are being harmonized, centering on the fulfillment of human portion of responsibility, that's the time that human being can be in the position of direct dominion towards God. God can directly dominate us and we are completely one with God as well. And that is what we call the realm of perfection. So hindi na natin maisip na abusuhin ang mga bagay, but we have to take care of it not only for us but even for the next generation to come. Aju? Kasi ang buhay natin is not only for us. But what we are doing is we are just passing or laying a foundation for a betterment of the environment of our next generation. And while we are doing that, we are also preparing for an eternal existence when we die, when we shed our physical life on earth. Kaya kung titignan natin, the last part of the divine principle, it talks about the incorporeal world and corporeal world whose center is human being. Okay? Bakit? Kasi kung titignan natin, the universe was created after the pattern of a human being who is in the image of God's dual characteristics. Ano bang dual characteristics na makikita natin sa human being? Meron tayong invisible at saka visible. Right? Through the presence of mind and body. Likened to the internal and external form of God. So likewise, the whole universe or the whole cosmos, meron siyang incorporeal world or invisible world and a visible world. Okay? So therefore, corresponding to human mind and body, the universe consists of the incorporeal world and corporeal world, both of which are real and substantial. And the two worlds together form the whole cosmos. Kaya nga minsan meron tayong nafe-feel na experience na presence of another energy beside us. Lalong-lalo na paggabi. Tama po ba? Pero actually, hindi lang naman sila gabi. Any time of the day, nandiyan lang sila. Pero mas nagiging active lang yung senses natin paggabi. Kaya parang na mas nakikita natin sila paggabi. Aju? Yan. So when we shed our physical bodies, we enter the incorporeal world as spirit and live there for eternity. Because God created us to become His eternal object partner. Therefore, our mind or the incorporeal world is destined or designed to become the eternal residence of our spiritual body, our spiritual self. Okay? Kaya nga kung titingnan natin ang mundo natin, this is just a temporary sa atin. Right? Ang pinaghahandaan natin is yung eternal position natin in the spiritual world to become the substantial children of God. Aju? And among the creation, we are the one in the position to govern these two worlds. Okay? Kaya kung titingnan natin ang position of human being in the whole cosmos, God created human being to be the ruler of the universe. Why? Because we have both the spirit body itself that can dominate this incorporeal world and our physical body that can dominate the physical world. So we can rule both worlds. Kaya nga, even yung mga spirit na nagbabother sa atin, we can dominate them actually. It depends on how we respond to their challenge sa atin. And likewise, human being are the mediator and center of harmony of the whole cosmos. Okay, kaya nga, di ba sabi ni Jesus Christ, this is how you should pray. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as well as in heaven. Centering on us in feeling that God is our parent, we can realize the kingdom of heaven on earth. And then after that, we can expand the kingdom of heaven in heaven. So, nakadepende sa atin as a human being if we will create a harmony on earth so that we can expand the harmony in heaven. And likewise, human being are the encapsulation in a substantial form of the essence of everything in the cosmos. Kaya we are said to be microcosm or small cosmos. Kasi lahat ng elements sa incorporeal world, meron tayo through our spirit. Lahat ng element in the physical world, meron din tayo through our physical body. Aju? Kaya we are the small universe or small cosmos. Kaya we are said to be microcosm. So what therefore is the relationship between the physical self and spiritual self? So the physical self consists of the dual characteristics of the physical mind and the physical body. And our spirit consists of the dual characteristics of spirit mind and spirit body. So likened to the characteristics of God, meron siyang internal, external, meron siyang positive and negative. And within ourselves, okay, spirit and physical body, meron siyang positive and negative, both of which, okay? And also, the spirit can grow and reach perfection only while it abides in the body. Kaya nga kung titignan natin, nagde-develop lang yung heart natin to respond towards higher purpose habang nandito tayo sa yung active development of our spirit to live for the sake of others eternally is habang nandito tayo sa lupa. Kaya nga, yun yung pinapractice natin na lifestyle while we are living on earth. From birth until we die, we are perfecting a lifestyle of living unconditionally for the sake of others with our utmost sincerity. Aju? So ito yung opportunity. While we are on earth, it is an opportunity for our spirit to grow and reach perfection. So the spirit become good only through the redemption of the sin granted during earthly life. Okay? Kaya nga habang nabubuhay tayo, 'di ba? Pag may namatay nga in Christian tradition, 'di ba? Anong ginagawa ng mga pinapagawa ng mga relatives ng mga Christians? 'Di ba? Humihingi ng 'di ba? Pinagpe-pray para makahingi ng tawad yung tao. Aju? Yan. So forgiveness is granted while we are on earth. Kasi pagka nasa spirit world na, hindi ganun kadali, hindi katulad dito sa earth. Dito sa earth, pwede mo pang ma-reverse yung pagkakasala mo. Pero sa spirit world, hindi ganun kadali kasi you have to go through a certain process. Okay, maghanap ka pa ng tao na pwede mo makatuwang. Kaya kung panoorin nyo yung The Ghost, di ba? Kung mapanood nyo yung Ghost, bago na-resolve, anong ginawa niya? Ang tagal niya naghanap ng tao na tutulong sa kanya. And pag hindi mag-respond, anong gagawin? Maghanap na naman siya ng iba. Okay? So it is not God who decide whether a person's spirit enters heaven or hell upon his death, but it is decided by the Spirit himself. Depende kung anong naging lifestyle niya dito sa lupa. Kaya nga sinabi natin, whatever you bound on earth, it will be bound in heaven. And whatever you lose on earth, it will be lost in heaven. Kung hindi mo na-practice yung lifestyle of living for the sake of others on earth, syempre, ganun din ang magiging buhay mo sa kabilang buhay. Aju? Yan. Kaya nga, kinakailangan natin i-perfect muna to bago tayo pupunta sa spiritual world. Kaya kung titignan natin, yung buhay natin in the physical world, it is a training ground for our spirit to perfect its characteristic to live for the sake of others as well. So I hope with that, we can really understand who we are and what are the things that we needed to do in order for us to completely one with God. Because ang plano ni God sa atin is hindi lang hanggang dito sa mundo natin siya makakasama, but we will be living with Him eternally in the spiritual world. Because God created us with eternal characteristics through our spirit. Good afternoon, everybody.